In this demonstration, we're going to give you an overview of the geoprocessing capabilities in ArcGIS Pro. So we're mainly going to focus on how you initiate the geoprocessing pane, what you'll find in the geoprocessing pane, as well as a few other details on the analysis tab. So we're going to start by going, I've already got a project loaded here. We'll start by going to the Analysis tab. And the Analysis tab will initiate a ribbon that looks like you see here. And we'll just kind of start on the left-hand side and describe what we have access to. The history button will open up a new pane that shows your geoprocessing history. In other words, a logging with your project's ArcGIS Pro logs all of the geoprocessing tools that you have run in the past, and it can give you access to that information by going to the history pane. I'm going to come back to that in just a bit, just to show you what that looks like. Also, from the Analysis tab, you can initiate a model builder. That'll create a new blank geoprocessing model. You can go to Python and initiate a new Python notebook or Python window. You can access your environment settings, your geoprocessing environment settings, with the Environments button. And then we get to the Ready to Use tools and the tools. So these two buttons are used to initiate the geoprocessing tools in a new pane. I'll come back to that in just a moment because we're going to spend a fair amount of time here. Now, just to the right of that are your commonly used analysis tools. If you click the drop-down arrow, you'll see a gallery of commonly used geoprocessing tools. You'll notice that they are grouped. So you have some tools for overlay, for proximity, summarizing data, analyzing patterns, and so on. Now, down at the very bottom is a Customize button. When you click that, it gives you the ability to customize the gallery of analysis tools. So you have full control over what is displayed in this gallery. You can make changes to the groups, so you can rename them, reorder them, add and remove groups, and then for each group, of course, you can control the content for those groups. So you can add and remove tools, change the ordering of tools, totally up to you as far as what you see in that gallery of geoprocessing tools. Very similar to what we see in editing as well. And then from there, going to the right, most of these tools are going to be related to different types of workflows that are related to different extensions that you may be licensing. There are some portal tools as well for doing feature analysis and raster analysis. Not going to cover those tools here. And then your workflows, these are primarily related to different types of extensions that you have. So 3D analysts, network analysts, geostatistical analysts, business analysts, data interop, and some raster functions. We're primarily going to be focusing on what you see on the left-hand side of the tab. In future demos, we'll go into detail on some of these other items that you have access to. All right, so let's start with this Tools button. The Tools button will initiate the geoprocessing pane. So I'm going to go ahead and click this at this point, and that will open up the geoprocessing pane. If you have, of course, used ArcMap in the past, this looks very similar to Arc Toolbox. Basically, it is Arc Toolbox. So they've given Arc Toolbox a new name. They're now calling it the geoprocessing pane in ArcGIS Pro. But you know, it looks and behaves the same way that Arc Toolbox does. So there's three tabs across the top: Favorites, Toolboxes, and Portals. Toolboxes gives you a view of all the available geoprocessing tools. So, for example, and it's grouped by toolbox. So, for example, if I go to Analysis Tools and I expand it, then you will see the grouping is by tool set. So, for the Analysis Tools toolbox, I have several tool sets: Extract, Overlay, Pairwise Overlay, Proximity, and Statistics. And then you can drill down. So if I drill down into the Proximity tool set, you'll see things like Buffer, Generate Near Table, Graphic Buffer, Near, Polygon Neighbors. For Overlay, right, I would get things like Identity, Height Intersect, Spatial Join, Union. So these are all the individual tools. If you see a little lock icon next to the tool, like we have here with Create This in Polygons, that it will be an indicator that you do not have the license. You're not operating a license level that has access to that tool. For this particular demo, I'm running a basic license of ArcGIS Pro. Some of these tools are available at the standard license level, some at the advanced license level. When it comes to analysis, most of those would be, if you've got a lock icon, those are associated with the advanced license. And when you click on one of those, it'll tell you you just don't have access to be able to use that particular tool. Eventually, some of these tools take a little while to load, so we'll give this a second. All right, so there's your tool. It says tools not licensed. Now, when you click on one of these other tools that you have access to, what it will do is just display that particular geoprocessing tool in its own pane. And then at that point, you can fill out the parameters, right? So for the buffer tool, for example, you define the input parameters, the output feature class, the buffer distance, and then click run. And then some sort of geoprocessing operation is going to take place. So, the workflow for all these is going to be the same. You find the tool you want to run, you click it, fill out the parameters, and then run the tool. All right, under favorites, you have access to favorites. In this case, project favorites you see here. So some of this will automatically be populated for you based on what ArcGIS Pro thinks. And then as you begin to use these tools more and more, they will automatically be added to your favorites, or you can add them on your own to make it easier to find them. There's several hundred tools here, and so sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to find these tools. There is a search function at the top that allows you to search for tools. So for example, if I'm looking for the project tool, I type in project, and then I can hit project for data management and go directly to that tool. So if you've used ArcMap in the past, if you've used ArcToolbox, nothing really has changed in regards to that. Now the portal tab is new to ArcGIS Pro. What this will do is it'll display a set of ready-to-use tools, which is the same thing as if you were to click ready-to-use tools at the top here under the analysis tab. This is a set of additional geoprocessing tools that run in ArcGIS Online. So these are actual ArcGIS Online services. Your data does not have to be in the cloud. Your data can be stored anywhere you want. But you'll see these little cloud icons associated with each of these tools. You'll see the same thing if you come here. These little cloud icons. So it's the same set of tools whether you access it from the geoprocessing pane or from the tab. Now, need to make something clear here. When you run these tools, right, they are running as ArcGIS Online services, and they are pay-as-you-go types of tools. So essentially, every time you use one of these tools, you are consuming credits. And so the way that this works is that typically an organization will purchase a set number of credits as part of their license agreement, and then there are various things that you can do to consume those credits. One of those things would be running one of the services that you see here. So each time you run one of these tools, it's going to consume a specific number of credits and essentially drawing down from whatever you have available to you. Obviously, if you haven't purchased credits, you're not going to be able to use these tools. And if you do have credits, you just want to be careful. Just check in with your administrator, make sure that it's okay for you to use these tools. Anyway, so I just wanted to make that clear to you if you didn't know that before. So that that kind of covers the geoprocessing pane. I do want to cover also this history button. If you click on the history button, what this is going to do is it's going to present to you the history pane. Now I have not run any tools here that are part of this project, so nothing's showing up here at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to run the buffer tool. So I'm going to let's first create a quick selection set. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select one parcel of land, which I'll just select this parcel of land. And then I'm going to run the buffer tool so that you'll understand what's going on with that history tab. So I've got a tools, a buffer. Input features will be parcels. We'll call the output feature class parcels buffer. And we'll do it at a distance of 150 feet. Run. All right, so at this point, it's going to go ahead and run that buffer, and then you'll see a new buffer polygon show up. All right, so there's my new feature class containing the buffer. And now what I want to show you at this point is the history tab. So if I go to the history tab, now that buffer tool shows up. So every geoprocessing tool that you run is going to show up in this history pane. This is information that gets saved with your project. And so This gives you a historical view of geoprocessing tools that you have run in the past and that have been part of this project. Now, if you click on these individual tools, or just mouse over it, you'll see a little window that pops up that gives you information about that tool run, right? When the tool was run, when it started, when it completed, lapse time, parameter information that you passed into that tool. So it gives you some good overview information. Now, if you right-click on any of the tools, then it presents you with a context menu that allows you to do other things, right? So you might want to reopen the tool, and when you reopen it, you'll notice it automatically fills in the parameters that you used the last time. You can right-click and rerun it, so that would allow you to rerun the tool with the same parameters. Add to model allows you to add that particular tool run to a model that you might be building in Model Builder. You can add it to your favorites, view details, which again, it just pops up in the window with the parameter information. You can copy it as a Python command, send it to the Python window, save it to a Python script, or remove it. So there's a lot you can do here. It's nice to have this historical information stored with your project so that if you ever need to return or re-examine geoprocessing tools that you've run in the past, you can easily do that and very easily rerun those tools as needed if you need to. And then the last thing I'll show you here is this environments button. That brings up the environment variables for your geoprocessing tools. And so these are like global settings for your geoprocessing tools. So you can set things like your current workspace. You can define coordinate systems, processing extents. There's some options here for raster analysis. A lot of different things here that you may want to define. And again, these are essentially global parameters that you introduce that will then filter down into the geoprocessing tools. Now, not every environment variable is related to every geoprocessing tool. Some of them are very specific. But these are just kind of global environment variables that you can set that impact or can impact the geoprocessing tools that you may use. All right, that is all I needed to show you for this time. I appreciate you joining me, and we'll see you next time.